Okay, welcome. 9 o'clock already. Gosh, I was watching a Louis Costco video. Time got away from me. It's a good thing I looked at the clock. So this is sort of a continuation of what we did last week when we talked about foundation, how to prep, how to apply foundation, and then setting and finishing. This is actually exactly what I do when I'm done with my foundation at that point is I use my bronzing powder, my cheek color, and my highlight. So we will be doing that in just a second. But I had a couple of quick things I wanted to mention. First of all, if you are watching tonight, please comment where you're watching from. I always love to see that, and it also helps to boost our visibility with the videos. Let's see what else. I wanted to show you the products just to get a little visual interest going on because I know I talk a lot more than I probably should right off the bat. This is our bronzing powder. It has a little bit of shimmer to it, and we'll be using this as our contour. And this is a hoop. This is our cheek color duo that we'll be using tonight, and I know it looks crazy. It is juicy guava. We also have a ripe watermelon and something poppy. Spicy poppy? No, that's not it. Poppy something. But they look crazy bright. Yeah. I think that when people see them in the catalog, they just, like, their brain doesn't even register. Like, people just keep looking through. But it's a sheer wash of color. And only those three colors have the highlighting powder with them. And the reason that there's just the three is because this is sort of a warm, not really a neutral, but this is sort of a warm cheek color. Then the ripe watermelon is a really soft, cool pink. And then the poppy is a red that really, in my opinion, looks best on bronze skin tones. But all three are acceptable for all skin tones, ivory, beige, and bronze. But anyway, that's what we're going to be playing with tonight. And I just wanted to show you real quick. But my name is Michelle Fox. I have been building my business for 18 years, but I've been using Mary Kay much, much longer than that, and I love it. And so tonight, we won't be talking about any sales in particular or anything like that. We're just talking about application techniques and trying to understand the theory behind contouring. What does it mean to contour and highlight, and how exactly do we sculpt our face, and what is that all about? If you are watching and you have a Mary Kay consultant that you're currently working with, and you see a product that I mentioned, because I will be using specific Mary Kay products, please inquire with that consultant. You know, ask your questions. If you want to make a product purchase, you would go back to that consultant. This is in no way an effort for me to pull somebody's customer away. This is primarily for my customers, but then we've decided to sort of expand and let other people enjoy our videos as well. And just real quick, I wanted to say that I'm so excited because the lookbook came in my mailbox today. I don't know who else got theirs today. Maybe you can put that in the comments as well. If you didn't get yours, it is on the way for sure, because they all mail out at the same time. So that is super, super fun. Okay, and then I also wanted to mention, because if you don't know me, you might not realize this. Mary Kay consultants are not necessarily cosmetologists or makeup artists. Some may be, but we are not authorized. We're asked by the company specifically not to apply makeup to our customers, but to teach our customers how to do it themselves. So I'll just tell you right away, I'm not a professional. That I've been wearing makeup for a long time, and I've done lots of training and workshops and read lots of things. So this is my understanding of contouring. This is how I do it, and this is my attempt anyway at explaining it, and hopefully you'll gain some understanding. So we'll see. We are going to be using the cheek color brush like crazy today. We're going to be using it 3 different ways, which is kind of cool. So Mary Kay's newest cheek color brush is right here. It has sort of a divot in it right here, and I'll show you why. This is going to be so cool because you're going to actually see all 3 ways to use the brush. So we're using it first of all with our bronzing powder. And our bronzing powder is our darker color. which is what we're going to use to contour. Similar to what we did with our eye colors, we use the highlight color to emphasize or draw attention to underneath our brow bone, and we would use darker colors to push back things that we didn't want to draw attention to, like the hooded part of my eye that I wanted to sort of push back. Highlighting and contouring is the same idea, really. The contouring is sculpting, pushing back, trimming, thinning, and the highlighting is accenting, sort of mimicking the reflection of light. You want anything that you want to draw attention to, or that you want to anything that natural light would normally fall on, that is also an area that you want to highlight. But we'll keep reinforcing that concept as we go through. Okay, so back to what we're actually doing. So I'm taking the cheek color brush, and I'm taking my highlighting powder, and I'm going to load up my brush. Not a whole lot. I tapped it off a little bit. Off go the glasses, so now I'm blind for a little while. Okay, so this is what's really fun. So we're contouring. We're going to start with the cheeks. I think most of us know that we contour, we put the darker color, the bronzer, on the area just under our cheekbone. That is sort of giving you that sexy little indentation there. How, you know, I guess if you think of the perfect model's sculpted face, how they have the high cheekbone and the full cheek right here, and then this really kind of, sucks in right there. So we're trying to get that look, that sculpted look right under that cheekbone. Here's the thing. You don't want to go too low. I think that is most people's problem. They go too low and they use too much. So we want to find our cheekbone. We've got our bronzer on the brush. We are going just ever so slightly below the cheekbone, starting at our hairline. And we're going to end 2 fingers before our nose. So we're going from here to here. I'm taking this brush, I'm putting my thumb in that divot, and I'm squeezing the bristles of the brush to make it sort of a skinny fan, because I want kind of a narrow path, starting at the hairline, and I'm just kind of coming down. And I'm just going just below where that cheekbone is. It's a little dark. Probably should have tapped off a little more. Okay. We'll do the other side, loading it up, tapping it off, squeezing the divot. Same thing, you want to find your cheekbone, start at the hairline, and anytime that you're working in the cheek area, you don't want to get too low on your face or too close to your nose. So that's the 2-finger rule, is that you stop when you get to like 2 fingers. And eventually you'll have the hang of it so that you won't need to, put your fingers there. Okay. If you feel like, gosh, I can hardly see that, that's good. When you're doing it, especially for the first time, you want it to be very, very subtle. If you can see it, you probably put too much. When you get in the car and you're looking at yourself in natural light, you'll be able to see it really well then. And then you'll be able to analyze, if you applied it just right or not. And if you still can't see it very well, or you still feel like you need more, then great. Tomorrow put on a little bit more. But it's better to start small and build up than it is to go great guns. Okay, so we did a little bit underneath the cheekbone. I think most people know, that that's where you're going to put your contour or your bronzing powder. Here's a quick aside. I don't use bronzing powder for my contour. I like matte things. And the bronzing powder does have some shimmer to it. Very subtle and it's very flattering, but it's shimmer nevertheless. So I usually use mineral pressed powder. My skin tone is beige, and so I will use an ivory for my highlight pressed powder and a bronze pressed powder for my contour. And that's another option for you. If you, like me, don't really care for shimmer, then you could do something like that. But I specifically said we were going to use the bronzing powder and the highlighting duo, so that's what we're working with. Okay, so I'm going to put just a tiny bit more on here. And so let's continue thinking this thought through. So like, where else would we want to sculpt our face? Well, I've got some diagrams on our group page, and I can go ahead and put them on my business page as well. According to your face shape, that's going to determine what you want to sculpt. So my face is very square. I have a very square jawline. So I'm going to really want to kind of carve away, some of this. So I tend to add, quite a bit of bronzer or contour, in that area there. Most people put bronzer on either side of their nose just to make their nose look a little thinner. And I've heard probably the most general rule that I've heard, or the most general thought that I've ever heard about bronzer / contour, is to just imagine doing a giant 3. So it means to come along this way, and then along your cheekbone, and then back, and then along your jawline. Meaning that you're kind of taking away this edge of your forehead, coming along your sexy jawline, back out, and then kind of taking care of some of this jowl that we all have. So I don't always do the 3 because I have bangs, and so I don't usually spend a lot of time, up here. So I typically just do cheek, sides of my nose, and then like my chin, or what is this, jaw. But just so you can kind of visualize, the 3 thing is just a really easy thing to think of in your head too. But primarily, like I said, once you understand the concept that anything that you want to sculpt, that you want to, push back. So I want, to push this in so that this, looks sexy, and I want to make my nose look thinner, and I want to take that harsh edge off of, my forehead. I want to take the harsh edge off of my jawline. Something else that I think looks cool, egads, is like in here, you can also kind of accent these, I want to use the word divot again because it's just in my head now, but like where you've just got indentations, I don't know, but just kind of go along there as well. So it's just something really to play with more than anything. But so contour is using a darker color. This time we're using our bronzing powder. You can use a cream to powder foundation. You can use a mineral powder, pressed powder. So just something that is darker than your skin tone to push away, carve out, to slim, to I don't know. Hopefully I'm using enough words that you're getting a picture painted, because I think that once you really grasp what you're trying to accomplish, then all those charts and everything, then they won't be so intimidating. That's the problem, is you see the charts in magazines and so forth that have all of these, like every inch of the face has like a different zone, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. It just looks so complicated. But when you understand, what they're getting at, then it's like, oh, that's not that complicated. I understand, So hopefully, we'll understand more as we go along. Okay, so we did bronzer. Now I gotta use my handy dandy brush cleaner. So, and that really is awesome. I just spray it, just wet it, and I can wipe it off with a tissue because we are using the same brush for 3 different products. Okay, so for the bronzing powder, we wanted somewhat of a narrow line going along the cheekbone or just slightly below the cheekbone. So we put our thumb in the divot and made a small, like a thin fan. This time we're using the brush a little differently. I'll make sure it's not too wet. Okay. So this time we are using our cheek color. And since I told you it wasn't going to be too dark, I'm afraid that if this is wet and this goes on really dark, that you guys will be like, ugh. Okay. Please, God, don't let this be too dark. Okay. All right. We're going to get some of that on there. All right. Don't fail me now. And we're going to use the entire flat side of the brush. So that's our second position, or the second way that you can use this brush. And this time, instead of trying to go underneath, we're just going right along that bone. Same thing from the hairline, but we're not any closer than 2 fingers. So same line. And generally speaking, you start from the outside, outer corner, and you come toward the face. You want the concentration of color to be on the outside and to fade as you come in, for the most part. Now I have been doing this summer a technique where I've been using the bronzer on my cheekbone and I've been using the color on the apple of my cheek. So I've gotten used to bringing my color a little bit closer. I don't think that that's wrong, but you just have to be aware of the fact that you don't want it too close to your nose or too low on your face. It's just not flattering. So I've done it along my cheekbone. I think that that is appropriate. That's where it's supposed to be. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of add a little bit more to the apple of my cheek. Okay. So that's a little heavier application than I would normally like. So I'm going to take a big fluffy brush and kind of lighten that up a little bit. Okay. Then we'll do it on the other side. So we're just using the whole face of the cheek color brush this time. And we're starting at the hairline. And we're just coming right down the cheekbone, starting from the hairline. We don't want to go too low or too close to the nose. The rule is not any closer than 2 fingers. However, it's very popular right now to do the apple of your cheek, this right here. So I don't have a problem with that. You just have to be careful that you're not getting too close to your nose or too low on your face. And bottom line, like I always say, it's what looks good to you. If you feel like it looks good, if you feel pretty, that's the whole objective, right? Okay. So that's Juicy Guava. So you can tell that this is a warm, peachy cast, and then the ripe watermelon would be more of a pink. I haven't used the poppy. That one's pretty intense. But anyway, getting back to the face shape charts, there are suggestions on cheek color application also according to face shape. So some face shapes, they suggest to only put the cheek color on the apples of your cheek and not even to put it along the cheekbone. So that's interesting. So this is just kind of a standard, most people put it on the cheekbone. So we've done the bronzer, we've done the cheek color, and now we finally get to do the highlight. But we're going to clean the brush one more time with our handy dandy brush cleaner spray. It's so convenient. It really is. It doesn't soak the brush, like you don't have to put it in, you know, liquid. You're just spraying the stuff on the bristles and then wiping the bristles off. So, just awesome. And then, but you do wash them thoroughly, like maybe once a month. Okay. Now, for the highlight, we're going to use the cheek color brush the third way. So there are, some of the bristles are shorter than the others. We're going to use the short side of the bristles. Let's see how I can help you see that. We're going to use the short side of the bristles to apply the highlight so that we can do a more precise application. Let me see. So can you see how I put that just on the shorter bristles? Hopefully you can see that. Tapping off the excess. And so we had the bronzer just ever so slightly below the cheekbone. One of the big mistakes, people put it too low. Cheek color on the cheekbone, starting at the hairline, coming straight along the cheekbone, 2 fingers away from the nose. We have to be careful, not too close to the nose, not too low on the face. The highlight is going to go just slightly above. We want to emphasize or highlight the cheekbone. So we want to really, if you don't have those gorgeous, sexy, really prominent cheekbones, we're going to make them happen now. So this, and if you don't have any issues with crepiness under your eyes, doing highlight powder under your eye is gorgeous. I don't do that because I do have crepiness under my eyes, and I find that the more products I layer there, the drier and crepier it looks. So I really limit what I put right there. So I do top of my cheekbone. Can you see the shimmer at all? It's really pretty. Okay, so conceptually, I just want to help you like kind of think this through so you can do it on your own, and it's not a matter of having to memorize it, but you just kind of understand what the concept is. So we're highlighting this sexy bone, and if we don't have it, we're pretending we do. And then think about, you know, when the light hits your face, it's hitting the planes, the parts of your face that extend out. So, you know, your forehead kind of comes out, your nose comes out, your chin comes out. So, which is basically your T-zone. So then the other part of your face that you generally highlight would be just a little bit of your forehead, right down the center of your nose and your chin. You can also take a real small brush and do like right here just above the little Cupid's bow of your lip, right in here. That's really cute. And you can do right here by the tear duct of both of your eyes. I mean, you can, you know, there's all kinds of clever little things that you can do. Let's see. And what was I going to do? So I just did the T-zone, cheeks. You can do under the eyes. I guess probably the best thing would be to, here's what I would suggest. I would suggest that you evaluate the shape of your face and think, now that you know these basics, you know, play around with it and think, okay, so where would I want to sculpt and do that and do your cheek color, and where would I want to highlight and do that. Then look at the diagram that's on the group page that is specifically for your face shape and see if that, you know, kind of correlates with what you were thinking. And where it does, you'll be like patting yourself on the back. And where it doesn't, you can ask yourself, you know, well, why not? You know, why do I think this is different? And, you know, kind of teach yourself that way. And I think that will be kind of a fun experience. I noticed that, like, for the oval face, it doesn't even have a person with an oval face use the bronzer at all, because an oval face is considered like the perfect face shape. So I guess the thought is, you know, they don't need to trim anything or push anything back because they've already got perfection going on. How nice for them. So, okay. So once I've got all this happening, then I'll take my big fluffy brush, always, and I just kind of soften, you know, and blend this inner edge. Because I usually, you know, truth be told, I usually end up getting too close to my nose. I am probably more guilty of that than anybody. I don't know. It's this, you know. Anyway. Okay, so I kind of smoothed that out a bit. And bronzing powder, also I wanted to mention, just like the translucent loose powder was both a setting powder and a finishing powder, your bronzing powder, of course, can be used as a contour to sculpt your face, but its truest sense is a finishing powder. So instead of using a translucent loose powder as an all-over glow, then you could also take your big fluffy brush right now, dip into your bronzing powder, and just do light strokes all over just to give you an all-over bronzed look. So that really is the original and the primary purpose of a bronzing powder. So because like I said, not everybody wants shimmer when they do contour. A lot of makeup artists will use cream foundation to do the contours. I use a pressed powder. And I just saw today that I saw this like the contour, the cheek color, and the highlight called Neapolitan. And it cracked me up because I thought that's a good way to remember it. So you've got like your chocolate, your strawberry, and your vanilla. Help you remember the order of the stripes or whatever. So I thought that was kind of clever. But anyway, so we've got that. And then, of course, I am going to finish with my beloved Makeup Finishing Spray by Skindinavia. This is going to set my makeup look for 16 hours. Love it. And then my other thought was this. As much as I love the translucent loose powder, I think people assume that this is what you would use as your highlight powder, but it really is not, because this is basically a step up from transparent. It is supposed to be colorless. And the whole concept of contouring is you're using color, you're using dark and light, you know, to achieve this effect. So this would not achieve that. This is colorless. This is giving you an effect, a brightening effect, which is great. But as far as using a highlight in the sense of a lighter color that's going to bring something forward, you need to either use a light foundation or powder or something that is labeled as a highlight powder. So the products that we use tonight are the bronzing powder, the Cheek Color Duo, which is a cheek color and the highlighting powder in one. We used our cheek color brush. We used it 3 different ways, 3 different positions. And then I did use the all-over fluffy brush at the end. And incidentally, we used the brush cleaning spray and the makeup finishing spray by Skindinavia. So, boy, that was so easy peasy. Like, it was really fast. So, what do you want to talk about now?